Greetings all. Breaking news-ish. I didn't really rush too much to post this video because I don't think the update is as large of a change as I think people are going to come to realize in terms of the market. However, it is a pretty substantial gameplay change, and I think it will short-term at least have effects on the market, so it's best to discuss it. So if you're not privy, here are the patch notes. It reads, reloading has been refactored to encourage more careful consideration of the use of ammo. When you reload a magazine-fed weapon, all remaining ammo in the magazine is discarded and a new, full magazine is taken from the reserves. Reserve ammunition is now represented either as a number of magazines, shells, or bullets, depending on the weapon. The fill level of the current weapon is now displayed below the ammo count, and tuned reserve magazine counts per weapon. Now, if you don't know what that means in layman's terms, what's happening here is every time you reload, you lose a full mag. Now, obviously, that's going to have more implications for some weapons than it is for others, and in the first couple of weeks, it's going to greatly hurt pretty much everyone's performance across the board, so I wouldn't really worry too much. However, it is going to be something you're going to have to get used to, that's for damn sure. The most notable movers, the Galil AR plus 50 bullets, the M4A4 got another mag, the P250, another mag, CZ, another mag, FAMAS plus 10, Bison plus 8, R8, another mag. The Scout lost 70 bullets. The dual Berettas, 5.7, Glock, and MP9 all lost 60 bullets, so 2 to 3 mags, depending on the gun you're using there. The auto snipers both lost 50 bullets, so 2 mags, I believe. The Tech 9 loses 2 mags, 36 bullets. The MP5 and MP7 lose 1 mag. The UMP loses 1 mag. The AWP and M4A1S lose 20 bullets, so 4 mags and 1 mag. The Mag 7 loses 17 bullets. The Desert Eagle loses 2 mags, and the Mag 10 loses 10 bullets. The rest of the guns that I have not mentioned here have been unchanged. Now, I don't think it's the bullet counts changing that are going to necessarily affect what does better and what does not. Right? These guns like the Galil, M4, P250, the ones that got bullets from this update, they're going to benefit in the short term because people aren't used to the update, but once people get used to them, right, no actual statistics of the guns have changed. Some will have more lasting effects, right? The M4A1S versus the M4A4, for example. The M4A1S and the USP, those are going to reward heavy, highly accurate gameplay. So in the upper levels of Counter-Strike, like pro level, probably like 25k plus in Premiere, for example, right? They're not going to be affected all too heavily by the, nerf. But someone in like 12k might need those extra bullets that, they have left in their reserves. So it might proportionally help those guns in those ranks. The same logic is going to apply to the ones that lost a lot of bullets, right? Who the fuck shoots 1,000 scout bullets in a round? You're just going to have to be a little bit more thoughtful with where you're shooting. You can't spam a smoke unlimited time, so a welcome change there. But I thought I'd highlight specifically the winners and losers, I think, of this patch, and the ones that I can realistically see this change having a lasting effect on the price action of the guns within the market. Like I said, the M4A4 and the P2000 will probably see a relative increase in usage. The P2000 sucks ass. The M4A4 isn't that bad. Trust me, I would love to be right. I spoke about these guns getting buffed like 4 months ago. Like, if that shit finally came true, I'd be very happy. But to be honest, the gun just kind of sucks. So if the shooting does become a real problem for the USP, which I can't really see that happening past 2 weeks from now, the P2K will benefit, although I do think the highest prices of the P2Ks are going to be tonight. The XM 1014, the Sawed Off, and the Nova are the only guns unchanged from this update in the complete sense that they don't have reserve ammo, in the fact that the change doesn't hurt them whatsoever because they load 1 bullet at a time, right? They're not magazine fed, so what's going to happen here is, I think, because the SMGs lost a significant amount of bullets, plus this change to how the bullets interact with your player fundamentally, right? The SMGs are going to become relatively worse to shotguns, which are going to make shotguns more viable, right? In a situation where you buy an SMG, you might now buy a shotgun, maybe like on Inferno in Apartments. And I think that's going to be the biggest change in terms of gameplay. Everything else pretty negligible, or at least negligible after the first 2 weeks. If anything, I do see the AUG becoming a little bit more widely used because it rewards accuracy, right? And if you can kill someone in 5 bullets with the AUG, you're not going to have to reload. Thus, you're saving a ton of bullets. I could see that one being a pretty big safety net for the worst players of the game. Some ones that I think are weird, but I don't think are necessarily benefiting right now, but could benefit in the future. The R8 and the CZ75. And that's because they both suck. Like, they're terrible guns. You could give them 8,000 bullets, they would still suck. However, if they do get buffed in the future, like, we know that Valve has historically been nerfing and buffing weapons in between seasons, right? And that's usually a 1-day period in January and July. Happens every 6 months. So I do think these are good to watch. However, right now they're so fucking fundamentally bad. Like, one mag isn't going to help you because the CZ can't kill anyone with the first mag anyway. Same thing with the R8. And the losers, the SMGs, right? The MP9 just got fucked. 60 bullets gone. You can't run and shoot through a smoke anymore, right? You have to be accurate. You have to be standing still because you pretty much need to guarantee a headshot because you need to save your bullets. This is a huge, very welcome change. This is a huge, extremely welcome change, right? This is getting rid of the SMG plague that I think is probably the most annoying part of CS2 compared to CSGO, where pistols were kind of dominant for a long time. Other than that, those are my thoughts right now. If you have any differing thoughts, feel free to let me know. Obviously, this update is brand new, so we don't really know the lasting changes of it. However, if I had any advice, I would say that if any guns that you have start to pump, I would sell them. If any of them start to dump, I would buy some more, right? M4A1Ss that go down, I would purchase some of those. CZs and R8s that go up, I would sell those. But at the end of the day, right, I'd probably just hold on to what I have and not buy or sell anything, right? Because especially if you're holding guns from like weird collections that China's pumping, right? They don't give a fuck how good the gun is. They don't play the game. So that should be your, first thought process first and foremost. However, this definitely does have a lasting effect on prices for some guns. And I don't think it necessarily has to do with which ones lost the most bullets. It's which ones are going to be changed by the loss in bullets and which ones are going to be changed by the increase in bullets most dramatically. Right? You could give the R8 revolver 30,000 more bullets and it would still be fucking terrible. Right? Nothing's going to change that gun. So those are my thoughts so far. Also, I opened up a glove on stream. Here it is. Yeah, baby! Let's fucking go! Battle Scout, I don't give a fuck! Let's get it! Come on! Let's go! Buying that shit right the fuck now. Let's get it. Let's... Alright, peace.